Because sometimes there's stories throughout, even in the scriptures. God doesn't want all of the mass numbers. He just needs a few. How many decided to jump on the boat with Noah? 8. 8 people listened then, when being right really mattered. And so I just want to testify that Noah came before the flood, and if we just read what's about to happen, we come before the fire. And I don't know if we stop that. And I don't know if I don't think the question's going to be when we stand before our Maker is, did you stop it? I think the question's going to be, where did you stand? Where did you stand? Because we are not terrorists if we believe in the freedom to choose. This is not an anti-vaccine, okay? There's people out here that are anti-vax, and I understand it. And the more and more that I look into it, I might be in that camp. But I've never thought about it before. And so we're here on the principle of freedom. And if we don't have the freedom to choose, we don't have America. I don't care what the science says. I don't care what modern science says. We're sitting here debating what science says. Look at this article, what the science says about this, it doesn't matter. Because without freedom, science means nothing. Yeah. So we've got a lineup today, and I'm really excited about it. The first person that I'm going to bring up, you probably follow her. She's one of the most patriotic people that I know in the state of Utah. Her name's Elena Erickson. So welcome, Elena Erickson. I love Elena because the reason why I love Elena is because she's almost annoying as I am online. Almost, but not quite. So welcome, Elena.
Hey, thank you. We kind of have a competition to see who's annoying, I don't know. I want to thank Eric for the opportunity, and I just want to recognize him for a moment for his fundamental contribution to liberty. He has done something. Let's give him a hand. He's a good man. So about a year ago, it's almost the anniversary, where Eric asked me to speak at the Trash the Mask rally. And I have a confession to make. I was terrified. I have spoken in front of audiences, but not like thousands of people. And there was almost 2,000. And I had a choice to make. I could either be passionate with liberty, or I could be afraid. And I knew that if I chose fear, that I would be paralyzed. And so I chose to have faith over fear and work through that. So I want to share with you really briefly. I was studying about Moses this morning. And that's such a remarkable story to me because they had so many people in bondage. And Moses was one man. And Moses had this great experience with God where he had this conversation, he had this idea that he needed to free the people, and it was an illuminating experience. But then something happens to him, that happened to him happens to every one of us. It is fear. The adversary came in to paralyze Moses to prevent him from doing what he needed to do. And so Moses also had that choice. I either hold on to that illuminating moment and hold on to what was right and push through the fear and trust God. And that's where we're at. So there's 3 things I'm going to quickly point with you today. And the first one is that so many people ask me all the time, what can I do? What can I do to be involved? Yes, we have a booth back there, some booths. There are great calls to action, but more than that, I want to say, then testify that you guys were preserved for this day. Every one of us has a mission. Every one of us has a part. You're here for a reason. And the reason that we're here is to promote liberty. You have that stirring within you. Pay attention to the ideas that come to you, because that is how freedom has always been won. Every moment in history that was monumental in the Revolutionary War was won through thinking outside the box. It was won with the ideas blessed by providence. And that is how we're going to win this. The second step is that, and I just have to say, that those of us who are really active, we don't know what we're doing. We don't have this like study guide that says, yeah, this is the next step. We actually have to pray and follow what comes to us and trust that God will provide that way. So the second step is fear will come in. Now it's interesting with Moses and those people, they had just seen all of these miracles, and yet when the Pharaoh chased them, they turned to Moses and they said, that's it, let's go back. It's better to be in bondage. And do you know what Moses said? He said, stand still and fear not, and see the salvation of God. That is where we're at. We're at that point where we need to push through the fear. Do you know why COVID has been so successful? Because when we function out of fear, we don't think. We lose our critical thinking skills. And that's how we have this dystopian reality. People are afraid. And so I will say that. Now the third thing is, we have to trust then God. Because we have to understand this is not our war. This is not my plan. It's not your plan. It's His plan. And while it's more comfortable to be in bondage, and while it takes courage to fight for liberty and preserve it, that's what we agreed to come here to do. And we're going to do it, and we're going to do it well, and somehow God will open that up to us. And I want to testify that to you, that because of that very moment last year where I made a decision where I could either hide behind my fear of public speaking, or I could actually push through and trust God, I testify to you that God will open the doors for you. He will show you what you need to do. He will provide that way for you, and you will feel Him at your side. I know that. In His timing, He will provide a way for us. Stay strong. Let's stay together. We got this. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Elena. Even though there's not many of us, can you feel that? That's the spirit of liberty that you feel. And I want to testify that God created us to be free. That's how He created us. I say it every time, and I'm going to say it every single time. The devil divides and God gathers. And that's an eternal principle. And He created us with an immune system to fight off viruses with a 99.8% survivability rate. Did you know that? That's how He created us. Now I understand there's a big thing going on right now, that we're the problem. That we're the reason why all of this is happening. Because we don't want to trust in science. I understand that. Okay? And it's the most disgusting thing that I've ever heard. You have the right, okay? You have the right, a God-given right, to say, no, thank you. You don't need a medical exemption. You don't need a religious exemption. You are an American citizen with God-given rights. And I know that's not popular. It's not popular right now in this culture, okay, that we live in, even in Utah. It's not popular. But I want to testify that God has given you, He has given you the power, and He's given you the patriarchal order of your family. And the reason why He has done that, is because we are in charge of it. We're in charge of our choices for our family. And there's a threshold, okay? And that threshold for our family's health and our safety, God has given us that, the capacity to handle that. That is us, that nobody can enter into that capacity. Does that make sense? No government, no well-intentioned church leader that has advice. I appreciate it, you guys. The church leaders from all denominations, I believe they're wanting to do the right thing. But ultimately, you have that choice. And don't let anyone shame you. And don't let anyone say that you're not worthy. And don't let your family members say that you're not going to make it to heaven if you're going to choose a human science experiment. Because that's what this is. And so the question is, who are we going to have faith in? Who are we going to have faith in? That's what I choose. And that's a choice that it's okay to make. And don't let anyone shame you. Jennifer Daly, are you here? Jennifer Daly, are you here? Jennifer, come on up. So I'm going to try to give everybody, try to do 2 minutes because we've got a lot of people coming up here. But Jennifer's another one of those people that's almost annoying as I am on social media. So, but she's great. Jennifer Daly, thank you.
I'm in 30 days Facebook jail. Again. My first time was in May and June. 33 days later, I put back in again. This is number 8. I'm proud. Yes, I will talk louder. Okay, so the first thing I want to say, I just had this thought to say this when I was standing back there. Like he said, there's a 99-point plus survivability rate. There's a big thing going on right now saying, yes, but what about the people who have long COVID? Which is a decent percentage. I can't remember what it was. If you guys aren't aware, there's also long flu, long bronchitis, long pneumonia. If you get on your computer, go to Dr. Google and start looking through medical journals and medical websites, this is not a new thing. This is something that has been around as long as illness has happened. So don't let them get to you. Don't let them freak your mind out that, oh, it's all about the people who are having the long COVID symptoms, okay? I know we have like a 2-minute time limit. I'm probably almost there. One other thing I wanted to mention. So right before I left this morning, I got on Facebook, and I was just kind of scrolling through real quick, so I can't do anything on Facebook at the moment. And Eric's post came up from yesterday about the fact that he got kicked off of Weebly. And I just started laughing. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I read, did you guys see that post? He got kicked off of Weebly because the Utah Revival website goes against community standards. Well, I've been with Weebly. I've been on several different website platforms for years. And I've been on Weebly the whole time because it's the easiest one for me to use. It meets all my needs. The funny thing is, and I don't know if Eric knows this or not, so I'm waiting to get kicked off because if you don't know about this yet, I'm kind of just getting started on it, but I have a research website called theysaiditwassafe.org or theysaiditwassafe.com, either one works. So I'm sure, you know, they're gonna come after me at one point or another. But Weebly got bought out a couple years ago by a company called Square. It's a credit card processing company. So Square now owns Weebly. Guess who owns Square? Jack Dorsey, who owns Twitter. Go figure. So you guys, even on our website platforms, we're not necessarily safe. At this point, it's doing what we can while we can. And it's gonna come down to the fact that you're gonna need to just talk one-on-one to people probably if they end up shutting us down from the internet. What else do we do? And Elena was right, we don't know what we're doing. This is all new to us and we're just doing the best we can. And some of us are like us in the public eye. Some of us are drawn like Elena to go on the legislative route, and some people are drawn to just go neighbor to friend to family member and talk on an individual level. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, just do something.
Thank you. So this might be a little weird. So we've had oppositions at all of these, right? Last time we had the Black Lives Matter when we had the police rally. By the way, give it up for the men and women in blue that serve for the police. That's their part. I was a police, for those of you that don't know me, I was a Salt Lake City police officer here for 7 years. And I had to come to a choice where I lost my badge 7 years ago because I didn't want to be a part of a parade that went against my beliefs. And it had nothing to do with that specific parade. I said, hey, I wouldn't want to be in an abortion parade. The police should not be involved in somebody's speech.
That's right.
But unfortunately, the far left, they've hijacked most organizations, including, but not limited to, big city police departments, schools, corporations, pretty much everything. The far left has hijacked these institutions. And so so just hear me, I back the blue as long as the blue is backing the Constitution. I also back people with their right to speak. So we have somebody here that has come to every one of our rallies, and this is gonna sound weird, okay? This is gonna sound weird. He has signs, okay? He has signs that I wildly disagree with, but give him a round of applause for being here and now listen, give him a round of applause for not interrupting us. You have the right to have that really stupid sign. Because that's true. We're not gonna come in and cancel you. Because somebody can read that and say, give you liberty or give you death. Are you sure you don't have the right to spread disease? Guess what? Hell yeah, we do. We do have that right. We have the right to gather under any circumstance. If the government says you can't shake hands, come here. If the government says you can't shake hands, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna shake hands. Hold on. We're gonna hug. If the government says you cannot gather with 10 people, we're gonna have 11. If the government says that you can't have 1,000 people, we're gonna have 1,001. Why? Because that is our God-given right. As a former police officer, I'm telling you right now that your rights come from God. And guess what was part of the plan? Guess what was part of the plan? Sickness. Why? Opposition in all things. You wouldn't know health unless you had sickness. Part of the plan is to get sick so you can understand health. And then you can pray to God for the answer. You can get priesthood blessings from whatever you do as a church. You can meditate. And you can heal through your God-given body. That's how we were designed, to spread disease. So with that said, the next person that I want to come up is one of my you guys are all my favorite people, by the way. You're all my favorite people. But the next person, he is by far one of my favorite people in the state of Utah. There's 100 and something House of Representatives in Utah. There's like 30 senators, 29, I don't know. How many of them are speaking out? How many are not only speaking out, but actually doing what they should be doing? There's only a handful. There's 6 out of like 130. And one of those men puts his money where his mouth is every single time. This man has gone to jail for what he believes. This man is Representative Phil Lyman. Give him a round of applause. Come here, Phil. And by the way, Phil, you didn't know that this was your exploratory committee to run for governor. You didn't know that. I'm really pushing Phil because we cannot let this guy go. Okay, this is one of the greatest men in the state of Utah, and I am so thankful to stand next to him today.
I knew when he said my favorite that he was talking about me, but that was the 2 people before me. So
that's why I said you're all right.
you know, I'd drop anything and come and support Eric. I didn't know him. I saw him on a video jogging up the Red Rocks and said he was going to do a business revival, and I tweeted something, I posted something on Facebook. I'm going to Vineyard, and 5 minutes later I get a call from Eric, and that's where our relationship started. But I know what it's like to stick your neck out and not be supported, and it's not a good thing. We've got to support each other. You know, you think you've got friends until you give the charge, and then you find out, oh, I'm by myself. I'm here alone. So, but I look at this group and I think, what a great day. What a great time to be alive. You know, we are truly blessed, as Ronald Reagan said, not to live in pale and timid times. And I look at some of the things that are going on with the schools, and I look at these kids and the lessons that they're learning from their parents on one side or the other, and it gives me such courage and such hope. And I just think, what a great time to raise kids in an environment where they can see the forces of darkness coming together against the forces of light. You know, it's not always been that way. I think sometimes we live in the gray area, and sometimes we want to live in the gray area. Well, that gray area is going away, folks, and it's time to choose. It's time to choose right now.
That's right.
I subscribe to newspapers and magazines, and I've got 9 different platforms that I try to watch on social media, and I get information and I hear things. I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not. I'm a CPA, so I can assess some financial type things. But at the end of the day, we all have to choose what it is that we believe, and those things that are most important are our freedom. There is no question that is the most important thing, is our freedom. We can pass bills that deal with any number of things, and we get them all the time. This is a good conservative bill. You should support this. We're going to train police officers on how to deal with people with disabilities. We're going to do this. It just goes on and on and on while we watch our freedom slowly get eroded away. And it's not an accident. This is an intentional decoy. We are being decoyed with 1,000 concerns. What's on Hunter Biden's laptop? I have to know. Oh, maybe that is more important than who won the election or this election fraud. By the way, Eric, I want to make sure that I get that list of terrorist things, because I'm checking off the boxes, and if there's one on there that I'm not doing, I want to make sure I check that box. When terrorists make a list of things that you can't do, I hope I check off every one of those boxes. I look out across this group, and I was talking with my friend here before. I don't know, I guarantee you there are some agents in this group who are not here for the same purpose that you and I are here from. I had a protest down in San Juan County, and found out later, somebody said there were 12 federal agent provocateurs in that group. We didn't know that. We were just acting in good faith. We're doing the best we could as a small little community. And shame on you that come here to try to divide and sow the seeds of contempt that don't exist in this group. Like Eric said, we are not hateful people. We respect anybody's right to say what they want to say, do what they want to do, live their life. That is the essence of who we are and what things are about. I just want to say, I went back to South Dakota to the voter integrity symposium there, cyber symposium. Yeah, thank you. Same thing going on. Tons and tons of ridicule, opposition. Oh, these people, their tinfoil hats, and how ridiculous. It's like, all we want is the truth. That's it. We're not asking for anything. We're not condemning anybody. We just want the truth. And how does that get you into so much trouble? But it does. There's 1,000 things I could say, and I just want to echo Eric's sentiment. Our freedoms were bought and paid for at a huge price. From the very, very beginning. If we don't see the pattern that freedom has a cost, then we're missing the whole point. It has a cost. I'm willing to pay it because I know you're willing to pay it. I only want to be here to be in the association of good people. I'm not looking for the limelight. I'm not looking for name recognition. As far as I'm concerned, every time an elected official runs for office, that's his last term in office until he runs for his next one, if he chooses to. I'm not trying to build a name. I just want to be here with good people because I love my family. I love my kids. I did spend 10 days in jail. It was as a political prisoner. It's scary. It's hard. But I can tell you, you'd survive it. It's not that bad. I did get a presidential pardon from Donald Trump, and yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to get a presidential pardon. I've got it, up there in my office at the legislature, and I look at it every once in a while and I think, that's kind of interesting, One of these people that gets a presidential pardon. Anyway, I'll wrap it up. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the people who have helped to organize this, all the people who made signs, anyone who's willing to stick their neck out. You may not have the support of the government. You've got the support of your fellow men who love freedom.
What would have happened if President Trump would have stayed in office? And President Trump would have hardcore, not just like had the, what was it called? Operation Warp Speed? I disagreed with it, right? I disagreed with it. But what would have happened if he would have stayed and if he would have been the one pushing it? What would have happened if President Trump was the one shutting down small businesses? What would have happened if President Trump said, you can't gather in 10 people? What would have happened? We would be here protesting, but so would the media, because they'd be going against what he said. You think they would be on his side? This has nothing to do with it. This is all political, and this is a war. This is a war on the United States of America. And it's not only a war on our economy, because if you take out small business in this economy, you guys know that, those of you who haven't seen the film that we did, Non-Essential, I'll give you a link to that in a minute, or in a little bit. The Nazis went after the Jews not because of their religion. Everyone thinks that it's because of their religion. Why did they go after the Jews? They went after the Jews because they were the small business entrepreneurs. They had the money. They went after them. That's why. And then what was the next move? Does anyone remember the next move after what the Nazis went after? They went after the police. Why did they go after the police? Because if you can take out police departments, then you can implement something bigger, all in the name of safety. So what you're seeing around the country are these police departments crumbling. And you know what they're going to have to bring in? Martial law. So all these people screaming at the police, they're the ones that are wrong. They're bringing in something 10 times worse than they could ever imagine. And they're not going to ask for your ID. So all these activists that are against the police, it's disgusting. There's been 100 police officers that have left Salt Lake City since last year. Did you guys know that? Why? Because of this disgusting administration that works in this building. That's why. And unfortunately, that's prophecy, that this is going to be one of the most wicked cities in the world, this city. Because where there is light, there must be darkness. And so these people that think they run this city, Jenny Wilson, Aaron Mendenhall, that are trying to mask our children again, I'm telling you, if I was still a police officer, I would arrest them for child abuse. Because what they're doing to our kids, especially now that we know the numbers with our children. That's right. How many kids have died in Utah from COVID? One. And I'll bet you that was a 96. There could have been something else involved. So, 0. And these people are trying to force masks back on our kids. And you know what Salt Lake City or Salt Lake County Council did? They shut them down. Why did they shut them down? Because there was a lot of people gathering.